And welcome live to Her Majesty's Theatre, just off Leicester Square, here in the centre of London. And joining me is the star of the Phantom of the Opera, the Phantom himself, John Owen Jones. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Alex.
Thank you very much for sparing the time, because I know you're a very important and busy man.
Well, I'm busy. I wouldn't say I was important, but important only in the way that if I wasn't here, the show wouldn't go on.
Can I congratulate you on the role, because it's amazingly performed, and I presume a very difficult role to do, because you've got to do everything. Again, it's multi-skilling at its best: dancing, singing, performing, acting, everything, really.
Well, I don't quite know what to say to that. Thank you very much. Yeah, I suppose I have to be multi-talented, but...
and modest with it.
Yes, well, you know, that's something you have to learn when you're growing up in Wales, you know.
I was going to say, I like your Birmingham accent. It's nice, that.
Well, you know, I mean, I was brought up in Wales, and as you can see on my dressing room wall, I have a Welsh flag, so I'm very proud to be Welsh. And I try not to put too much Welshness into my performance, but sometimes I've been told it does come.
Mention the World Cup, and we better...
Oh, don't worry at all, I support it.
Oh, good, that's what we like to hear. And talking of your diction, you had a letter this morning.
I had a fan letter. Somebody wrote saying they enjoyed the show and said I had a divine voice diction.
Marvellous. How do you get rid of the Welsh bit in your voice and bring out the Phantom's bass and the Phantom's bigness on stage? If
Let's carry on. How do I get rid of my Welshness? Well, I don't know, it just goes. I trained as an actor for 3 years, and I did a lot of speech therapy and stuff like that. You know, but my accent, as you can probably hear now, is this is how I normally speak. But when I get on stage, if I have to do any kind of character, accent or role, I try to do it to the best of my abilities.
It's an amazing show, and the one thing that grabbed me about The Phantom is that it hasn't aged at all. And I've seen a lot of modern theatre, some of the new productions, The Lion King and things like that, and they're brilliant on stage, and this is just as good, and it was written many, many years ago.
Yeah, it's coming up to its 16th anniversary this year. I agree with you, it is. I think it's probably Andrew Lloyd Webber's best show, actually. He might not think that, but I certainly do, and a lot of other people seem to, because it's been running for 15 years, and earlier on this year it won the Most Popular Show Award in the Olivier's, so it's doing very well. I mean, we're still packing out and having queues for returns around the building, so it's a good show.
I think he must think it's one of his best, or he would have taken it off by now, because he's got rid of Cats and Starlight from the West End, because of course he needs the theatres. He hasn't taken this off, and there seems no sign whatsoever that he's ever going to get rid of it, unless you know differently.
Well, I don't know differently. I don't think he ever will. I mean, certainly not while it's still making a lot of money for him. I mean, you know, it's buying him other theatres. You know, so I mean, it's still selling out. I mean, you know, 100% full every night. You know, the houses are full. You can still buy some tickets on the day if you turn up, but usually they're not very good seats, because that's all they've got left. But yeah, it's been selling out constantly for 15 years. It's quite remarkable, really, and I don't see any reason for it to end in the near future.
Tell me about your life in Wales and how you came to be performing in the West End and take the lead role in one of the biggest musicals ever.
Right, where do I start? My dad's a butcher. So I trained as a butcher. So I spent about 4 years working in my dad's shop, which my brother has now taken over. And in fact, my dad's name's Elgin, and it used to be called Elgin Jones and Sons. But now it's just called Elgin Jones and Son, because I'm not in the business anymore. But then I did that, and of course I didn't really want to do that for a living, and I thought, what can I do that's a lot easier? And I chose acting for some stupid reason. A lot easier, not on your life. I worked in a lot of regional theatre productions, local youth theatre, Llanelli Youth Theatre, and then I went on to drama school, and then I've got into the West End.
We're live with John Owen Jones today at Her Majesty's Theatre. We'll take a piece of music now. We'll play All I Ask of You. This is one of the big songs in the show, isn't it?
Yes, and one that I don't sing. But I do have to listen to it every night, so, you know, it's a good number. And
do you enjoy it?
Some nights. It can get on your nerves a bit after listening to it 8 times a week, but yeah, some nights is better than others, but that's the case with any life.
How do you keep it fresh and alive every night?
I've been asked this question many times. It's all to do with the quality of the writing. If there's not enough substance in the show, it's very, very difficult to do indeed. But with Phantom, I find it quite easy, actually, because it's a really rich character. The script is great, the songs are great. It's very easy to make fresh every night. And also, I'm working with an extremely good cast. The Christine who plays opposite me 6 times a week, her name's Celia Graham. She's fantastic, and it's really easy to bounce off other actors. It's something that you learn to do the more you do a show. But I have been in shows where it can be an absolute dredge. It's really hard work, especially, I mean, generally, as a rule, the happier the show, the harder it is to do. So I found Les Mis really easy to do, and I did that for 3 years. Not easy, you know, but easy to like get over the monotony of doing the same thing every night, every week. The interesting thing about my job is that the monotony is extreme. You know, you have to do the same line at the same way, in the same position, with the same physical movements at the same time every single day. And you can't really vary it. I mean, apart from inflections and, acting choices, for technical reasons, you have to be standing in a certain point every time. And I don't know any other job that you have to do that, where you have to be exactly the same every day. It can be quite hard.
It is a challenge, but with this musical, it's quite different to most, because the clue's in the title, it is almost an opera in places, and you really have to test your voice, don't you, night in, night out?
Yeah, I do. If any of the listeners have actually seen Phantom, it's not just opera, there's a lot of screaming and shouting that goes on, because the Phantom himself is it's a little bit insane, and so at the end of the show, the last half hour of the show, it's really, really testing for me, really difficult, because I have a lot of screaming and a lot of passion to exude. Andrew Lloyd Webber once told me that it's really a rock and roll show, but with opera, if you can understand that.
I think it is fair to say the Phantom is a little dysfunctional. He gets quite aerated at some points, doesn't he?
Sorry, what does that word mean?
Well, I don't know. I just made it up, to be perfectly honest with you. He does get quite stressed at some points, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Is that what aerated means?
That's what I meant.
Well, yeah. Because you don't learn words like that in Wales, you see. Oh, God.
Is that a Leicesterism, then? You never heard of getting aerated? Getting all annoyed? No?
No, I've never heard that before. But I'm sure there's a lot of Welsh words that I could teach you that you've never heard before.
Well, I'm sure you could.
Well, I've never been to Leicester, so maybe if I ever go there, people will be shouting that at me in the street. Who knows? And
congratulations for not saying "is it" at the end of every sentence, because a lot of people do that in Wales, don't they? Are you alright, is it?
Are you alright, is it? Yes, they do, yes. A cup of tea, is it? A cup of tea, is it? Leave go, you. There's lots of things. Oh, tidy.
What do they mean by that? Do they mean, is it a cup of tea, or do you want one, is it?
Do you know, I have absolutely no idea, but I'll have to ask my mother. I'm seeing her this weekend, and she always says it. Cup of tea, is it? All the time.
Got to congratulate you on Les Mis, because it's an amazing show. It must be one of the best to do in the West End. You played Jean Valjean, one of the big roles with the big ballads and the big songs in it. Was that a difficult show to do as well? Because that's very heavily performed, isn't it?
It's harder, I think, than any other show we've ever done, simply because it's Valjean is an enormous role. He's on stage practically the whole time, and it's 3.5 hours long, Les Mis. And it can get extremely tiring, because I was doing 8 shows a week there, these bags under my eyes, that's Les Mis. The thing with Les Mis, though, it's probably my favourite show in the West End, possibly of all time, with the exception of a few other Sondheim things. But it was like an absolute dream come true, and I always wanted to play Valjean and the Phantom, actually. So I can't believe that I'm doing it, and I've done Valjean. I was the youngest person to ever play Valjean at 26, and I'm 31 and I'm playing the Phantom. I can't quite believe it, and he's sitting in the Phantom dressing room, and I can't quite believe it. It's quite amazing.
Where do you want to go from here, then, finally?
The only way is down, I think. I don't know.
That is a problem, isn't it, really? Because if you've done two of the biggest roles in the West End, where can you go from here?
Well, I've always wanted to create something brand new, to do a news show. As I say, Lloyd Webber was doing a news show now, and there was a role in it which I would be good for. I'd love to do something like that and be on the cast album and be associated with it, like Michael Crawford was with Phantom of the Opera. Something like that. That would be really, really cool.
Aida might be coming over. Do you fancy that? Although you have to take your top off, I think.
We'll have to go to the gym then. I don't know anything about Aida, to be honest with you. I was out on Broadway the other day, watching a few shows, and I saw the producers, and that's something I really want to do. But Aida, no, I know nothing about that.
You're very showbiz. Out on Broadway the other day. The life of these stars in the West End. Owen Jones, thank you very much for talking to us today in Her Majesty's Theatre.
Thank you very much.
The Alex Belfield In Conversation podcast with daisymedia.co.uk. Alex Belfield.